A few words we have to see carefully. I'm reading it again. It is nothing less that is meant in the end when we speak about of the absolute consecration, not concentration, consecration of the individual to the divine. The consecration, the word consecration, to consecrate something is very often used in the Christian context also. It means to give to the divine and make it holy. Okay, make it holy, it becomes sacred. So that's the meaning of consecration. So whatever we have, if we give it to the divine, it becomes holy because the divine can then put his presence into it. He will put it into it only if you offer it to him, then he comes in. So that's the consecration of the individual to the divine, not the soul, but the individual. Not the word individual. Okay, includes body, mind, life. Okay. But this total fullness of consecration can only come by constant progression when the long and difficult process of transforming desire out of existence, okay, desire has to completely come out of existence and is completed in an ungrudging measure. Normally, it's only part, okay, because the body mind life has a very strong influence on us and we don't surrender ourselves fully. But and it's a very long and difficult process. There should be no misunderstanding on this. Sometimes it takes lives and lives, okay. So long and difficult process of transforming desire out of existence is completed in ungrudging measure. Swamdha is very difficult to do what Swamdha is ungrudging measure. Okay, so, and desire then what it becomes? It becomes aspiration for the divine. The desire doesn't disappear, it gets transformed. You desire objects, you desire good clothes, you desire good food, you desire good company, you desire a good job, but now you desire only the divine presence. That's what it becomes. You don't care for all these small things. Perfect self-consecration implies perfect self-surrender. In other words, you don't have any ideas of your own, you don't have any willings of your own, you don't insist on any of your own ways. You open yourself to the divine and say, do what you want with me. I am your instrument in the world. I'll try and open myself. So that is the perfect surrender. Okay, so then after you have done that, then you can become an instrument of the divine. And that's the next siddhi. That's what he is telling you. The first siddhi is to perfect yourself. Okay, we read the next para. For here, there are two movements with a transitional stage.
Shall I read it?
Go ahead.
For here, there are two movements with a transitional stage between them. Two periods of this yoga. One of the process of surrender, the other of its crown and consequence. In the first, the individual prepares himself for the reception of the divine into his members. For all this first period, he has to work by a means of the instruments of the lower nature, but aided more and more from above. But in the later transitional stage of this movement, our personal and necessarily ignorant effort more and more dwindles and our higher nature acts. The eternal Shakti descends into this limited form of mortality and progressively possesses and transmutes it. In the second period, the greater movement wholly replaces the lesser, formerly indispensable first action. But this can be done only when our self-surrender is complete. The ego person in us cannot transform itself by its own force or will or knowledge or by any virtue of its own into the nature of the divine. All it can do is to fit itself for the transformation and make more and more its surrender to that which it seeks to become. As long as the ego is at work in us, our personal action is and must always be, in its nature, a part of the lower grades of existence. It is obscure or half enlightened, limited in its field, very partially effective in its path. If a spiritual transformation, not a mere illuminating modification of our nature, is to be done at all, we must call in the divine Shakti to effect that miraculous work in the individual. For she alone has the needed force, decisive, all wise, and illimitable. But the entire substitution of the divine for the human personal action is not at once entirely possible. All interference from below that would falsify the truth of the superior action must first be inhibited or rendered impotent. And it must be done by our own free choice. A continual and always repeated refusal of the impulsions and falsehoods of the lower nature is asked from us, and an insistent support to the truth as it grows in our paths. For the progressive settling into our nature and final perfection of the incoming informing light. Purity and power needs for its development and sustenance our free acceptance of it and our stubborn rejection of all that is contrary to it, inferior or incompatible.
So he's telling you that after this is complete, and he's explaining to you the process. He says there are two stages, but he's also adding a one of the. He says that there is a transitional stage. In another place, much earlier, in my book, it is page 52, and now we are on page 79 or 80. So there he says there are three stages. The three stages here also is putting the same thing, but in a slightly different way. First stage, we are making an intense effort. Somehow or other, we are imperfect, but we have been touched by something, and it is saying that this is what I want. The yoga starts. That's the first. So it is an effort, a period of effort, and the effort has to continue until some opening has been made, either in the mind or the emotional part of your body, or even physically also sometimes. It can happen. It's not that what can't happen. You feel a a light in the mind or something descending a power into you, or you can feel love for the divine. Then you feel that, my God, this is the only thing I want in life. So this period of effort is the first stage. But when the effort even is not complete, but it is partially successful, you start feeling the divine help. Oh, I asked for something, and after 10 days, 15 days it comes. But when it comes, you don't realize that it's an answer. Okay. But if you're very conscious, you say, oh my God, I asked for this and it has come. It comes like that. Okay. So then you are receiving the help from above. And that help can be of many types. Difficulties may disappear. Okay. You pray for something. Immediately the difficulty won't disappear, but can disappear when you are fully open or partially open also. So this is the first stage. Second stage is when you are still making an effort and the help also is coming, you are conscious of the help coming. Sri says sometimes you are not conscious of the help coming, but you see the results. You become conscious of the help only through the results and not the coming of the you don't see the process of the help, but you see the effect. Oh, I asked for this and now it has come. So this is what you see. It can come in so many ways. Maybe you have a habit of anger, or you have a habit which you want to get rid of very sincerely. Suddenly you see that the desire for that habit is not there anymore. Okay, so you feel, oh, so there is a response. That's the second. The third stage is what Shiv is saying. You are transformed, and your no more effort is not needed anymore. So these are three stages. Here he is talking of two stages. He is merging the transitional stage with the last stage. Start reading the paragraph from the beginning. For here, there are two movements with a transitional stage in between two periods of this yoga. One of the process of surrender. You have to make an effort to surrender. Surrender means no thought of your own, no will of your own, no desire, no demand, nothing at all. You are completely open to the divine. That's a surrender. You don't make any demand. The other of its crown and consequence. When the surrender is complete, what is the result? That's the last stage. So, by the way, the surrender, it's very interesting to discuss this. What is meant by surrender? Whenever we want to do something, there is first a thought in the mind. Na? You okay? Such a simple thing is also. I have to go and fetch my lunch from dining hall. It's a thought that comes into your mind, and then the action comes. So there is this. Or I have to buy a piece of soap from the market because I have to. So it starts first with the thought in the mind. So the Gita says surrender is sarvarambha parityagi. All arambha comes in the mind. So there is no more any sarvarambha. There are no initiation of action in the mind. All action, there is an initiation first in the mind that completely disappears. Okay, so that is this complete surrender. He will take you and do whatever you want with you. So there is a very interesting image of in Christianity. There is a Sermon on the Mount, okay, of Christ. He says, we can believe in the divine because he will do everything for you. Is he not taking care of the small, insignificant lilies on the hill? Okay, small plants also. He is taking care of it. So why do we have to worry? He is seeing to everything. You don't have to do anything by yourself. The Sermon on the Mount is a very famous one, and that is exactly this, that the divine is doing everything. He is taking care even of the smallest, most insignificant little flower on the hillside. In Pondicherry, we have many flowers on even the drain side, there are many small flowers. Even they are being taken care of by the divine. So that's a surrender. Then crown. So that's the first stage. Then he says, one of the process of surrender, the other of its crown and consequence. In the first stage, the individual prepares himself for the reception of the divine into his members. So what are the members? Don't think that the members are only the body, the life and the mind, okay? No, don't think that it's only the body, the vital and the mind, because you have an inner mind, you have an inner vital, you have an inner physical even, the subtle physical. They also have to be perfected. In fact, all yoga, first of all, the inner being gets transformed, then the outer gets transformed. In the first, most of the yogas, they are worried only about the inner being, not the outer being. The outer being, let it be. The outer being of the mind, life and body, they don't care. Okay. So these are the members. So for all this first period, he has to work by means of the instruments of the lower nature. The instruments of the lower nature are your body, mind, life. The lower nature does not include your inner mind, inner vital and inner physical. The outer nature, the lower nature is only body, mind, life. But aided more and more from above. When you make a huge effort and after many years, it depends on the intensity of your effort. You start feeling the help. Okay. So more and more, and then, but aided more and more from above. But in the later transitional stage, so this transitional stage he's talking about, he has not mentioned, he is saying only two, but transitional stage is the second one, in which your effort continues, but the help also you are feeling, okay? But in the later transitional stage of this movement, our personal and necessarily ignorant effort more and more dwindles and a higher nature acts. The divine starts helping you and you feel that you don't have to, all you have to do is to aspire and leave it to the divine to give you the result. That's all. The only effort that you have to make is concentration and opening yourself to the divine. If you try to do something by yourself, you will never succeed. You leave it to the divine to do it for you. So necessarily ignorant effort more and more dwindles. Your personal effort starts dwindling and you become conscious of the divine help. So naturally you appeal to them every time. Okay. The eternal Shakti. Now the eternal Shakti, the Shakti aspect is the nature. Universal nature is eternal Shakti. Okay. So it descends into this limited form of mortality and progressively possesses and transmutes it. The higher nature starts coming into the lower and transforms it. In the second period, that means the last one, the greater movement wholly represses a lesser, formally indispensable first action. In other words, no more effort. But this can be done only when our self-surrender is complete. Even if it is not complete, 80-85% done, you can feel the help. Okay? The rest will be done by the divine himself or herself. The ego person, note the word person, okay, and personality. Okay, but here he is using the ego person. Normally, when he uses the word person with a P cap, he means either the soul or the self, okay, or the psychic being. But here, the ego person is your body mind life in us, cannot transform itself by its own force or will or knowledge or by any virtue of its own into the nature of the divine. Then this sentence can be misunderstood and you will say, oh, if my effort is of no use, then what is the use of making an effort? That should not be, because although it will not succeed, that when you make the effort, it is the opening that is enabled. So you can't get the result, you can't get the desired aim by your own effort, but that effort opens the being to the help that comes from above. So one should not misinterpret the sentence. Very clear, he is saying, cannot transform itself by its own force or will or knowledge. And you can do it by your force or your will or your knowledge, or by any virtue of its own into the nature of the divine. You can't do that. All it can do is to fit itself for the transformation and make more and more its surrender to that which it seeks to become. Note interestingly that the Jnana Yoga path, they do make a personal effort. Okay, it's a personal effort. You make your mind silent with your own effort. It takes a long time, but it can be done. But that's only the process of opening. Once you open yourself, the divine will transform you. But you can't transform yourself directly with your effort. That's what is being said. Also note the tantric. Okay, the tantric also, they depend fully on the divine mother, but there's an effort at making the connection between the two. Okay, so then he's saying, all it can do, all it was the ego person, the body mind life, all it can do is to fit itself for the transformation. There you are, very clear. What the body mind life with its effort can do is to make itself fit for the transformation and make more and more its surrender to that which it seeks to become. You can't get the result by yourself, but if you connect yourself to the divine, he will do everything for you. And that's the result. That's the effort that you have to make. How do you make the effort? Constant remembrance. Whenever you see a desire coming in, offer the desire away to him and say, I don't want this desire. A wrong thought comes in your mind. Ask them to remove it from you. Constant reference to the divine. And that comes by remembrance also. If you go on remembering, Srimdo says in one place to somebody, in many places, remember and offer. Remember and offer. Offer what? Everything. Your thoughts, your emotions, even your food, which you are going to eat, offer it to them. Okay? So that's it, what he's saying. As long as the ego is at work, now I read the next sentence. As long as the ego is at work in us, our personal action is and must always be, in its nature, a part of the lower grades of existence. These lower grades of existence, we normally use the word lower hemisphere, okay? The inferior hemisphere, the body-mind life, the region where the body-mind life is there, and must always be in its nature a part of the lower grades of existence. It is obscure or half enlightened. Okay? Depends on the individual. Sometimes it's totally obscure, or you start getting some amount of help and you are more intelligent, you are more energetic, okay, whatever it is, but still it is limited in its field. Very partially effective in its power, if you depend only on your own effort. If a spiritual transformation, not a mere illumining modification of our nature, is to be done at all, we must call in the divine Shakti to effect that miraculous work in the individual. There are many, in the Advaita philosophy also, there are many systems where you appeal to the Divine Mother. Tantra is one of the most prominent aspects of it, but there are also, I read a very interesting text, I went through the whole book, Tripura Rahasyam, okay, it's a Sanskrit text, where you appeal to the Divine Mother. The Shishya is asking the Guru, what is the way to do this? And they say there is only one way. Mahamaya, the divine power and the divine Shakti, appeal to her. She is the last, even for knowledge, not only action, but she is the last principle, and you have to appeal to her. She will do everything for you. So, that idea is there even in the Advaita philosophy. Okay, so, the feminine aspect of the divine is interesting. In India, we have very clearly the feminine aspect and the masculine aspect. In Christianity, it is only limited to Mother Mary. Okay. In the other systems, it is not even there. Okay. So, miraculous work in the individual. For she alone has the needed force, decisive, all-wise, and illimitable. But the entire substitution of the divine for the human personal action is not at once entirely possible. It's a gradual, there's a graduated effort. More and more aspiration, less and less effort, and the help comes. All interference from below. And the interference from below, the demands of the body, the demands of the vital, the demands even of the mind, okay, that would falsify the truth of the superior action must first be inhibited or rendered impotent. So inhibit, prohibit, refuse, or rendered impotent. Make it as small as possible. If a desire is there, make it less and less and less and less and less. Okay. And it must be done by our own free choice. Now that's a very interesting thing. The first movement has to be done by your own free choice. Okay. In the mother, mentions that surrender does not mean that you don't make the effort. Okay. That she says. Surrender doesn't mean you can take the attitude, divine will do everything for me. So they say very clearly, divine will do everything for me, so I don't need to make any effort. Wrong. You are not a machine. You are a living being, he says in the mother. So you have to make the first movement. You are a living creature. You have to make the first movement to connect yourself with the divine. And that also is a gradual process. Okay, so how do you do that? Inhibit or rendered impotent, and must be done by our own free choice. A continual and always repeated refusal of the impulsions and falsehoods of the lower nature is asked from us, and an insistent support to the truth as it grows in our parts. So, constantly stressing the positive and discouraging the negative. Okay. One example you can take also, it's very easy to understand when you take the example of anger, because it's one of the prominent things. Okay, irritability, anger, impatience. Okay, every time it comes, no, I don't want it. No, I don't want it. 100 times, 200 times you do, but a time will come when suddenly you see that it is not affecting you anymore. Okay, so a continual, note the word continual, and always repeated refusal of the impulsions and falsehoods of the lower nature asked from us, and an insistent support to the truth as it grows in our parts. If you remember, one phrase he uses, our effort dwindles and becomes less, and there are periods when there is no effort at all. But he says that the torch must be relit, as in a windy pass. They are very interesting images which he gives. You must feel, oh, now I was aspiring so much, but now there is no aspiration. No. You can again relight the torch. Okay? You have to make, and all by effort. That's why the word continual. It will fail, again relight the effort. Continual. Always repeated refusal. Continual and repeated, note that. It doesn't come very smoothly like a linear effort. It's never linear. It's always up and down. Of the impulsions also the lower nature is astras, and an insistent support to the truth as it grows in our parts. For the progressive settling into our nature and final perfection of the incoming, informing light, purity, and power needs for its development and sustenance our free acceptance of it. He is repeating free acceptance. Okay? By our own free choice. The word free is very clearly there in both the phrases. Okay? Our free acceptance. You must be able to do it by yourself of it. And our stubborn rejection of all that is contrary to it, inferior or incompatible. Note the word informing. Okay? The word informing, Sivanda very often uses in the sense of coming into the form. Okay? The word inform normally is for information, but not here. The incoming, informing light, purity, and power. The light comes in and transforms you. It enters into your form. Which is your form? Body, mind, life. Purity. Suddenly you will find that wrong thoughts are not coming, wrong emotions are not coming. Okay, purity. You are becoming pure, and even power. The effort starts giving results. Power needs for its development and sustenance our free acceptance of it, and our stubborn rejection of all that is contrary to it, inferior and incompatible. So, this is what he's saying. So now he takes up the description of the first stage and the second stage. Okay, we read the next. In the first movement, who read?
I can read.
Yes, go ahead.
In the first movement of self-preparation, the period of personal effort, the method we have to use is this concentration of the whole being on the divine that it seeks, and as its corollary, this constant rejection, throwing out, catharsis of all that is not the true truth of the divine. And an entire consecration of all that we are, think, feel, and do will be the result of this persistence. This consecration, in its turn, must culminate in an integral self-giving to the highest. For its crown and sign of completion is the whole nature's all-comprehending absolute surrender. In the second stage of the yoga, transitional between the human and the divine working, there will supervene an increasing purified and vigilant passivity, a more and more luminous divine response to the divine force, but not to any other. And there will be, as a result, the growing inrush of a great and conscious, miraculous working from above. In the last period, there is no effort at all, no set method, no fixed sadhana. The place of endeavor and tapasya will be taken by a natural, simple, powerful, and happy disclosing of the flower of the divine out of the bud of a purified and perfected terrestrial nature. These are the natural successions of the action of the yoga.
Yeah. Okay. So he has described both the first movement and second movement. He has used the word catharsis, which is actually of Greek origin, and it means a purification. Okay, it has got other meanings also, but a purification. Okay, normally. So catharsis, you have to purify all the rejection, throwing out. So that is obviously that is a purification. All the things that are there dirty in you, you clear it out. Okay. Of all that is not the true truth of the divine. Note the interesting phrase, true truth, because there is a gradation. Those who don't understand this gradation will say, what is this nonsense? Truth is always true. It can't be false. But there is a gradation, okay? Sometimes there can be a half truth and a 3/4 truth. The true truth is the ultimate, 100% truth of the divine. And then the entire consecration of all that we are, think, feel, and do. 4 words. It includes the whole being. what you are, what you think, mind, what you feel, the sensational part, and do will. Okay, the result of this process. This consecration in its turn must culminate in an integral self giving to the highest. For its crown and sign of completion is the whole nature's all comprehending absolute surrender. Okay, so someone is asking, Sriramdu in one letter, sir, somebody is saying like this, what is your opinion? So Sriramdu says, I have no opinion. I don't think anymore. Not only that, there is no even wanting to do something. There is no aim. You are completely in hands of the divine and he is doing everything for you. Okay, so note interestingly how the surrender acts. When Sriramdu is told by Sri Krishna, he could hear the voice very clearly. Go to Chandranagar, go to Pondicherry. No questions asked. Okay, where is the money going to come from? Who is going to support me? Nothing. Absolutely nothing at all. Okay, you just do what you have been told to do. That's a surrender. Okay. Then, in the
But Ranganath,
tell me.
once you surrender, then the progress of our transformation depends wholly not on us, on the divine Shakti.
Yes. No, but it depends on how much you have purified yourself. No? It's a
No,
gradation.
if the surrender is total, like maybe if Sri Aurobindo's or the mother's surrender was total, so they were in that period of time when they were means, I don't know, eternal nature was working through them. So it depends on the eternal nature how quickly or how slowly it works.
Yeah, but you can say not only nature but even the divine. Okay, at that time you have made a connection with the highest. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. But it's always proportionate to how much you have opened yourself. So you are saying absolute surrender, but there is a question that arises. So long as you have a body-mind life, can an absolute surrender take place? Maybe it will go to 85%, 90%, 95% even. But a complete surrender, even of the body, is not that easy. Because if you read the agenda and how mother was struggling in her towards the end, okay, the body, the sadhana had come down to the body level. And the body is something that does not change very easily, okay. But she is to feel that pressure. Okay? So even the body has to become absolutely, so that would be the perfect surrender.
Okay.
So long as you have that body, untransformed body, there is always a little, but this is at a very high level, okay. For us, even the mind gets only partially transformed, and the vital also very rarely, okay. So, some amount of love, some amount of sympathy, some amount of largeness, unselfishness can come in, but it can't be completely. What Sridhar is talking about is a very high level, okay. So the second stage is a very high level. Okay, so in the second stage of the yoga, transitional between the human and the divine working, the human working is the effort. The divine working is entering into you and doing whatever has to be done. There will supervene an increase in purified and vigilant passivity. Note the word vigilant passivity. You are not doing anything, you are only passive, but it's vigilant. You are fully attentive. Okay. So it's not something that you become passive, even consciousness you are not bothered about. No. Then the word supervene is very interesting. Okay. Supervene means coming from above. So intervene means coming from the same level. Okay. So intervene, something comes from at the same level. But supervene, something is coming from above. Okay. So the word supervene is very interesting. I'm not saying intervene, supervene. And intervene would be at the same level, something coming from your own level. And maybe from below, if it comes, it is interfere. Okay, something can interfere with your will and your effort. So, supervene is absolutely the pure divine coming down and increasing purification yeah, sorry, purified and vigilant passivity. The passivity can be non-vigilant also. A more and more luminous divine response to the divine force, but not to any other. And there will be, as a result, the growing inrush of a great and conscious miraculous working from above. You'll be surprised at the changes that take place when we're saying. Okay, so in the last period, now he's talking about the last period. See, so there are three periods. The intervening stage he is not taking as a second in this particular para, but earlier, much earlier in the 40, 50 pages earlier, he has spoken about three levels. Level 1, your effort. Level 2, effort continues and the divine is helping you. Last effort, last stage, no effort at all. The divine is completely taken charge of you. In the last period, there is no effort at all, no set method, no sadhana. The place of endeavor and tapasya will be taken by a natural, simple, powerful, and happy disclosing of the flower of the divine out of the bud of a purified and perfected terrestrial nature. Again, Swamiji is using an image. The bud is there in everybody. In other words, the potentiality. But it becomes pure only when you do your sadhana and completely surrender to the divine. These are the natural successions of the action of the yoga. So, first effort. Secondly, the divine is helping you and your effort continues. Then third, no effort at all. The divine is completely operating your body, mind, life as though it belongs to him. Okay, so that's what he's saying. Then these movements are not absolutely. So we have 5 minutes. Maybe we can read the next one, which brings us to the end of the chapter. So let's read the last one.
These movements are indeed not always or absolutely arranged in a strict succession to each other. The second stage begins in part before the first is completed. The first continues in part until the second is perfected. The last divine working can manifest from time to time as a promise before it is finally settled and normal to the nature. Always, too, there is something higher and greater than the individual, which leads him even in his personal labor and endeavor. Often he may become, and remain for a time, wholly conscious, even in part of his being, permanently conscious of this greater leading behind the veil, and that may happen long before his whole nature has been purified in all its parts from the lower indirect control. Even he may be thus conscious from the beginning. His mind and heart, if not his other members, may respond to that seizing and penetrating guidance with a certain initial completeness from the very first step of the yoga. But it is the constant and complete and uniform action of the great direct control that more and more distinguishes the transitional stage as it proceeds and draws to its close. This predominance of a greater divine leading, not personal to ourselves, indicates the nature's increasing ripeness for a total spiritual transformation. It is the unmistakable sign that the self-consecration has not only been accepted in principle, but is fulfilled in act and power. The Supreme has laid his luminous hand upon a chosen human vessel of his miraculous light and power and ananda.
See the last paragraph of the chapter. So he says that these three movements that he's talking about are not necessarily in that serial order. Okay? Even when you are a very ordinary person, but in previous lives you have developed yourself, suddenly an experience can come. Okay? You may feel the divine presence, or you may feel a divine descent into you of power, or of love, or of light. It can come in so many ways. Okay, so I told you once that an Italian lady had come here to the ashram, okay, and she spoke to me one day and she told me that a golden light started descending into her head, okay, and But there was a part of her which was not ready. It didn't want. It was resisting. Okay. So that's what he's saying, that even when you're not fully ready, but part of it is ready from past lives. In this life, you are not conscious, but suddenly an experience can come and completely change your course of action. So this is what he's saying. So the second can come, or even the first, the experience can come much before also. So there is an overlapping of these three things. That's what basically he's saying. And then the last sentence, we'll redo this next time. We have got only 1 minute left. So that last sentence, the Supreme has laid his luminous hand upon a chosen human vessel of his miraculous light and power and ananda. So in this synthesis, he says elsewhere, the he who chooses the infinite has been chosen by the infinite. Okay, so the more you want God, the God also wants you and helps you. So it's a mutual thing. You remember the other also, if the Bhakta yearns after Bhagavan, Bhagavan also yearns for the Bhakta. So it's a mutual thing. The more you open yourself, the more the divine will pour into you. That's what he said. So this particular one, we will just go through next time and then go on to the next chapter. Okay.
Rangada, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Is the divinity is only limited to the human being? As you said that even the small flower has been taken care by the divine. So this flower's surrenderness, is it countable or no? Flower
No.
or any?
No, because
No.
there's no development of consciousness. There is only a potentiality. But there is, it says even in the plant and even in the animal, there is an effort, but it's a graded effort. Very small effort is there. Very small effort. But even in the human being, when there is an effort, in the beginning it is very small. So your question about the flower and the insect and even the cat, okay, there can be an aspiration, but it's a very muted, very, very low quality aspiration.
And it's not as conscious as the human being's effort.
Exactly, obviously. Okay.
Then how they progress? Means after their death, they progress into a flower can become an animal or animal can become a human being. Like that, they progress and their surrenderness improves.
That's right. But it's a very slow process. In fact, in the Tantra, they say that to come to the human level, to have a human life, it may take 1 lakh lives, 100,000 lives. It's a very slow
We
process.
have a 84 lakhs
Yes.
in Jainism, it is mentioned.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Au revoir then everybody.
Au revoir. Au revoir, Rangada. Merci.
Have a nice day, Rangana.
Okay.